We begin tonight with Chris Cillizza, journalist, senior advisor of the DGA Group.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Is this a winning strategy?
No. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
No.
It's been great, Chris. Appreciate it. We're good.
No. I think that, look, you played Jamie Raskin earlier. He represents, just outside of D.C., Montgomery County in Maryland. Fine. There's a lot of federal workers who live there. That's fine for him, although that chant probably needs work. But the average person who doesn't live in and around Washington has no idea what these things are and why you wouldn't want to cut some of the waste from them. And so, no, again, you and I have talked about this on air and off air, and I think it's really important because I think it's a fundamental fact of how Democrats are positioning themselves, whether intentionally or unintentionally. They just have a blind spot with Trump. No idea he proposes can be even a good idea. Again, if it was proposed by James P. Public, Republican president, they'd be like, okay, well, maybe. But because it is him and because the loathing is so, and it is, I use that word advisedly, but they hate him.
Right.
Every idea is a bad idea. And I just think it leads to some poor strategic conclusions if your goal is, as Democrats' goal should be, getting some power back. Because they're out of power at every single level at the state and federal government.
I don't know why. I just find it sort of funny to watch.
Well,
I mean, this sort of political malpractice by either side is kind of, I don't want to say hilarious, but as political observers, there's like a funny to it.
But at like some level, I sort of get it. Like they're looking for something, right? I think the reality situation is they don't have power, they don't have the White House, the Senate, or the House, and they don't really have any obvious leadership, which means they don't have a message.
What's interesting is that sort of this breaking of people to do what is in their own worst interest, right, is something Trump does. And then this occurred to me when watching the coverage of it, because as journalists, I was trained as a journalist. You came out here, worked for George Will, the Washington Post. Government waste is the easiest pickings as a journalist. It's what you go
Hanging
after.
Curve.
Yeah, and then you see what happens when Trump wants to go after government waste. Brianna Keilar at CNN. Take a listen.
Does your administration understand who actually makes up this workforce? Stephen, let's calm down.
This is not.
We're not having a debate.
There's no reason
about whether there are places.
You are clearly trying to debate me, and I will be as excited as I want to be about the fact that we are saving Americans billions of dollars.
How are you feeling about your personal situation, but also about the mission of your program and what it's going to do without folks like you?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm really upset. Like, this was my dream job that I had worked many years to get.
I mean, it's aimed at a certain kind of viewer. I mean, you know, like, I don't think I need to be a detailed media critic to know that. Like,
journalists are not good media critics, but the New York Times Daily did this whole episode today, that's their morning podcast, about how, you know, the purge is hurting all of these federal workers. And there's not been one critical question of asking, I think, Democrats, like, do we really need all of these programs that you're now championing?
Again, I think that if it was even Chris Cillizza or Leland Vittert president, God forbid, that'd be terrifying, especially me. You, I could live with.
Oh.
If we had that and they said, you know what, the federal bureaucracy is too big, it doesn't work well. Everybody knows this. It's outdated. It's not technologically brought. I think you would get 90% approval. People like, yeah. Like the whole limestone mine where they store the records. Elon Musk talked about this. My friend and colleague David Fahrenthold wrote about this in 2015 or 2016 when he was at the Washington Post. He's at the New York Times now. Like, yes, anyone who reads that is like, wait, we're keeping these paper files in a limestone mine underground in Pennsylvania? Like, that doesn't feel 2025. So, like, that to me is the issue.
It's all about Trump.
The Democratic blind spot for Trump has cost them significantly. You know, if you talk to any Democrat before the election, they're like, I mean, we're going to win. Like, we'll win the House. Well, you're now, Elections have consequences. You are now out of power in all of these places, and it seems to me what you should do when that happens is say, we screwed up. So what went wrong, right? If God forbid there's ever low ratings on this show, which I assume there never will be, if there were, you'd be like, okay, well, what can we do to do better? Like all of us would do. More Cillizza is the answer. But the point is, like, everybody does that. If you lose a game, you go back and examine, what did we do wrong?
Okay,
you don't
so
say, oh, we did everything right, it's the voters' fault.
Right, or we need more studies about the sexual orientation and studying the sexual orientation of cancer patients.
It's like you said, right? I think it's important to say, like, neither you nor I are ridiculing that. The issue, though, is we all have priorities. In the priority set of the average person, that's not top 5.
Right.
Now, there are some people, but the average person, it's just not. They are, am I putting food on the table?
I'm going to give you one more.
Does my car not break down?
I'll give you one
right?
more. And this is, I think people are underestimating this. What's my kid's education like? And you think about the Department of Education, because this is where this is going, right? This is what Trump wants to axe next. This is what's coming. The Department of Education is responsible for a 1,200% increase in spending since it was created in 1980. But over that time, test scores have risen roughly 2%. The only constituency the Department of Education has is teacher unions. And you know what? I will predict the Democrats are going to die on this hill as well.
At some point, I say this about my own work, the numbers are the numbers. You can say, like, well, I'm much better than this person or that person, but if that person has 180,000 subscribers and you have 8 subscribers, the numbers are the numbers at some point, right? You are what your record says you are. And I think when you say 1,200 point increase in spending, it's just like the health thing we talked about with RFK Jr. I think RFK Jr. candidly has got a lot of beliefs where I'm like, ugh. But when he says things like, we spend the most per capita on health in this country, and health is, our overall health is drastically decreasing, as a reasonable human, I am like, yes, that does not make sense. We got to stop throwing bad money, good money after bad, figure out what can we do better. And again, I say this all the time, Donald Trump he did not say, elect me and I will do basically the same stuff. No, he said, elect me and I'm going to shake it up. Now,
well, I didn't say no. He didn't say I'm going to shake it up. He said I'm going to take a sledgehammer to it, and then I'm going to burn whatever's left.
So he's taking a sledgehammer to it, and people are like, and I'm always like, you can be unhappy with it. That's your right. You disagree with some of the things he's doing. Frankly, I disagree with some of the things he's doing. But you can't be surprised because
you act surprised on TV, though.
Surprise is my best way. That's my aghast. Was that good?
Yeah, we need more of that. Don't scare the viewers.
I do a lot of one-act plays. I'll send a note to you later about that.
Yeah. Tickets on Ticketmaster. They're selling. They're
Oh,
selling
it
out
definitely
everywhere.
does not rate Ticketmaster, my friend.
In the past.